Welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to continue with our series of tutorials on Excel Power Pivot. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at relationships. Because Power Pivot is a database, we're able to actually create relationships between our tables. So we're going to see that it's really easy to be able to create a relationship between two tables. Now in this tutorial, we're going to be using a human resource data source. So basically, we're going to have one table, which is going to be our employee master, which is going to have a list of all our employees. And then the second table is going to be a list of all the training that the employees have been on. So we're going to see how easy it is to be able to create a relationship between the two tables and be able to use that within Power Pivot. Now you're going to see that within Power Pivot, you're going to be able to use this within your pivot tables, within your pivot charts, and also with our formulas as well. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's jump into the tutorial. I will see you there. Welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at how we can create a relationship within our Excel Power Pivot. So as you've seen in the previous tutorials in this series, we can easily load data into our Power Pivot. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to load two tables and we're going to create a relationship then between those two tables. So let's have a look and see how we're going to do this. Now please note, if you don't currently have Power Pivot running, please go to the earlier tutorials and we'll show you how to activate and to load data into Power Pivot. But for now, I've just got a blank worksheet in my Excel. I'm going to go to my Power Pivot, and you'll remember we'll go across to the Manage Data model to open up Power Pivot. Once you've got your Power Pivot open, you'll remember that we don't have any data at the moment, so you've got quite a big area that's open, but we're going to get some data. And in this case, we're going to get two CSV files. So the first one we're going to be looking for is we're going to get some data about our human resources. So we want to know what is the data around our employees. So we've got an employee master file that we're going to be uploading. And in this case, it's actually a CSV file. So we're going to say we want to load a text file. I'm going to say next on this. And it's going to ask us what type of separator we're using and also where the file path is. So let's start with the file path. So in this case, we're going to be using the emp master file. So we're going to load that. We're just going to click on open. And you'll see now, because we said it's comma. So basically, again, it gives us a preview of the file. You remember the one that we saw earlier for the Excel file? And basically, you can decide, do you want to bring in any of the actual fields here? So you can just select this and decide which fields. Also, if you want to be able to do any filters on this, you could also do filters. So if you clicked on the little drop downs, you could decide you only want to bring in employees for a specific department. You could do that as well. Just remember as well to use first row as column headers. Select that. And you'll see now that actually looks a lot better. So we now got our column headers, and there we go. As I say, you can basically pick any of these and decide whether or not to bring that field in. We're going to accept all of these fields. So we're going to click on Finish, and as you can see, 50 rows have been brought in. So we've now got our first table, and you can see we've got a list of our employee names. We've got different information about them, different departments that they're in, and you can see we've got our first table at the bottom. We're going to get our second table, which is a listing of the training that the employees have been on. So let's go to from other sources again. This is also going to be a CSV file. So we're going to say text file, import data from a text file. I'm going to say next on that. Again, let's browse for it. We're going to say that we want to see the workshops file. So I'm going to click on open. And again, we're going to use the first row as the column headers. And there we go. That looks pretty good. And you'll see we've got an employee ID. So basically with the workshops, what happens is whenever we record what training they go on, we're just recording which employee ID there is. So you can see this first one is actually number 1. So this would mean that this employee has been on training. Okay, so we're going to select finish on that. And you can see that those rows have now been brought in. Okay, great. So we now have two tables. And you can see that we can actually move between the two tables. Just select that table, select that table. Very easy to move between the two. You'll see that you could do the filtering that we have covered in the previous tutorials as well. You can do all of that. However, what I want to focus on is we want to look at relationships. So you'll see that we do get this option called the diagram view. So I'm going to select that. And you can see now that we've got both our tables here and we've got a list of the fields. Now there's several different ways that you can create a relationship between two fields. In this case, our relationship is actually between the employee ID in the workshop file and the employee master file, the employee ID. That is actually the field that we're going to be using. And just remember that when you're creating relationships, you have to have one of the tables only can have the ID once. So in this case, our employee can only exist once. You can't have more than one person. However, the employee can go on multiple workshops and multiple training. Okay, so the easiest way to create a relationship is actually what you do is you click the field that you're going to be using and you drag it and you just drop it on the field that you wanted to create a relationship with. So when you drop it, you'll see now that a relationship gets created. So over here, it's telling me that there is one employee here, but the employee may have been on many training courses. So this is correct. If we actually go to our view where we look at our different relationships, you can go up to your design and you'll see that you get relationships here. So you can create a relationship or you can manage a relationship. So let's just pull that into the video. And there we go. We've now got the relationship showing. Let's just edit this to show. So basically what it's doing is it's saying in the workshops, we've got our employee ID and we're linking that to the employee master. We've got the employee ID there. And basically all you do to select these fields is you just click on the header. So whichever field you want to have for the relationship, just click on the header. So click OK there. You can see it's an active relationship. Okay, so now we've got the relationship and it's been defined within this. So what it means now is we can actually use this within our pivot tables. So let's have a look and see how we're going to do that. Let's just go back to our data view. Let's go back to our pivot table and we're going to create a new pivot table. So we'll just select our pivot table. Say we want one in a new worksheet. So we've got a pivot table, but now you'll see that we've actually got two tables we can work with. So let's say we want to know what is the number of courses and what is the total training cost for each of our employees. So we can get the employee master, we can get the employee name, put that into our rows. And you'll see now that you get all the employee names. But now we can go across to the other table. And because of the relationship, I could say I want to do a count of the number of course names. So I've got the course names there. You can see it's now done a count. So it's telling me how many course names each of these people have actually been on. And there you can see now you've got the number. Also, if you wanted to know their total training cost, you could just drag that down. And you'll see now that you actually get the total training cost. And you'll remember as well from previous tutorials, we can do some formatting. So say you wanted to use 1000 separator on this. Just go back to your manage data model. Just go to your cost. Go to your formatting. And you would say, I want 1000 separator, but I don't want any decimals. Let's make that a bit wider there, you can see. So now there's no decimals, but there is 1000 separator. Let's go back to our Excel, switch back to workbook, and you can see now that that formatting has been done. So there we go. We're now getting the information across two tables. Let's look at another example. So let's say, let's just take our employee name out. And let's say we want to see by each of our departments how many courses they've had in the sum. Again, we could take our department, drop that in there, and there we go. So you can see that it is pretty easy to be able to create your reports just using this now that you've got a relationship between the two. Now another part that I want to show you is that once you've got a relationship, you can also do lookups between tables. So we can go back to our data model. And in our workshop, let's say, for example, in this table, we actually wanted to know who this employee was, what the employee name was, and also which department they came from. Okay, so as we've seen previously, we can add a new column into our table. So we just double click on add column, and I'm just going to say that this is going to be my employee name. So I give the field a name. And just click on one of the cells below, and you'll remember that we got our formula bar. And in our formula bar, we could use different functions. Now, in DAX, you've got a function called related. If you want to know a bit more about DAX, again, please just look at some of the previous tutorials we've had on Power Pivot, and we do cover DAX a little bit more there. But here we've got a function, it's called related. So I can use this function to say, use the relationship, because now the system knows there's a relationship between the two tables, to go to this employee master, and I actually want to get the employee name. So basically, I'm just saying related, and we're looking for the employee name. Remember to close your parentheses. And basically, with that, you can now do an actual lookup, and you can see now that it's actually looked up the employee name from across in the employee master. Again, if I wanted to get the department, same type of thing. I'll just give this a name. And as I say, please check the other tutorials if you want to know a little bit more about these formulas. Again, we're going to use the related, and I would just say I want related, and in this case, we're going to say we're going to go to the employee master, and we're going to use the actual department field. So again, just close my parentheses, press enter on that. And there we go. We've now done a lookup and we've now got that information from the employee master file. So there we go. That's a quick overview on how to create a relationship within your Power Pivot and then to be able to use it in your Excel as well. We're going to conclude the tutorial there. I will see you in the next one.